Jordan is not here, so I'll be facilitating the meeting. I'm gonna jump right into town meeting practice.
All right. Well, I will share some slides. I hope we'll give some feedback. So this is our informational session. I thought it'd start, can you see that okay? Start by just, before we get into the budget, just talk about the fund balance. The general fund balance, if you were to pick one metric to focus on, that would be the one. These are our reserves, essentially, operating reserves. And the fund balance is the general fund assets less the liabilities. So what we have less what we owe. And at the end of fiscal year 2025, we had $473,000. And you can see that we had built back up from 344,000 at the end of fiscal 24. That's when we were still waiting on FEMA reimbursements. And you can see 2 years prior, and at the end of fiscal 2023, we had 413,000. So we built back up plus some, which is a good thing. To put it in context, $473,000 is about a fifth of our total budget for the year. It's also about a third of what we spent on flood repairs in 2023. So it's a good number. It's not, it makes me nervous not to, to have just that. But then moving into the budget, we have the two departments, so to speak, are general government and highway. Looking at just the general government, the proposed budget for fiscal 27, which would start in July, is $674,000 and is down just a touch from the previous year. Okay. The highway department, on the other hand, is 1.2 million, is up 8%. I'm going to get into what's driving those increases in just a minute. You put the two together, general government and highway department, it's $1.89 million and is up 5.4%. And then when we include the other warned articles, it's 2.3 million or up 5.8%. That's the proposed budget that we'll be discussing at town meeting. So where are the increases coming from? Here are the main culprits. Employee medical insurance is up $31,000 or almost 15%, continuing a long-term trend. I can say in this case, it's more participation in the plan and less driven by rate increases. Most years it's been rate increases. This time it's just more participants in the plan. Yeah. Peter is joining us. Capital expense, so this is payments on vehicles, and that's up 32,000 and change, or almost 20% for that one category. And what's driving that is an additional payment for a dump truck. We have 4 dump trucks in operation. They're on a 7-year rotation, so at any one year we're paying for 3 or 2 of them. We have to be going from a two payments to a third payment. So that's really what's driving that increase. Then we have road maintenance materials. That's up 11%. That's mostly sand. We're in a period of time where we've been using a lot of sand. That started in the second half of last winter. I don't know if you can remember last winter, but into the spring, we were having a lot of very frequent snowfalls and really going through the sand. And that's actually was the pattern at the beginning of this winter, where they were sanding 4 or 5 or more times a week. And so we really had to spend more on sand. And also culverts is the other big driver in the road maintenance category. Vehicle maintenance up 11%. We're just finding that we're spending more. That's a place where inflation is really hitting. And then the last item on here is the local hazard mitigation plan expense. We're gonna be talking about that on this meeting agenda in a little bit, but we have $11,000 budgeted for that. There was nothing budgeted for it this year. So it's all of an increase, and that is an expense that we would normally not incur, or not most of it anyway, but because of changes in FEMA, there are no grants available to pay for that planning process. And so we're budgeting the full amount, and with Judge, we need to incur that expense because we have to have that plan in order to be eligible for certain grant monies. Okay. There are some savings. The main one is reduction in expense for assistant town clerk, going from a full-time position to a part-time. We've also got a little bit less spent on highway grant expenses and total town hall. And again, the total increase for general government and highway is $96,000, $481, or an increase of 5.4%.
Okay.
I did make some changes to the slideshow today, so the one you're looking at is slightly different.
Okay, all right, because I think that probably should say that there, that's all, okay.
What's that?
Total it increased it to both in
Okay.
96,
Thank
yeah.
you, I'll make that change. So the pie chart just shows the breakdown of where the monies are, and this is in the total budget proposed. Highway department is 52%, that's been growing as a portion of the overall budget. General government 29, emergency service is fire department and ambulance to East Montpelier and Woodbury fire departments. That's at 14%. Library and social services is 3%, and cemetery 2%.
People are just dying to get in.
And then I wanted to look back and see how things have been changing over time. So I looked at town reports from 5 years ago and 10 years ago. Some interesting trends. So employee compensation is increasing, and it's up 8 percentage points since 10 years ago. Half of that increase is coming from medical insurance. So employee compensation is wages and benefits. So the medical insurance is a portion of that. So that's, we're not unique in that, obviously. Medical insurance is really driving a lot of budgets these days. But that was interesting to see. On the other hand, highway materials is actually consuming less of a portion of the budget, down from 14 to 11%. Highway capital expense is up, but then when you look at all capital expense, it's basically been flat over the 10 years. So that just suggests we're putting more of our capital monies into highway at this time, less into general government. I think probably town hall and town office were larger portions 10 years ago. And then emergency services, again, fire and ambulance, took a jump between 17 and 22 and has remained flat since then. And this is the article that we'll be discussing. Shall the voters authorize total highway and general fund expenditures of 1.8 million, of which 1.44 million shall be raised by taxes, and 341,000 will be raised by non-tax revenue. And then the other articles that are on the warning.
You skipped the comparative tax rates, is that coming later?
I did skip the comparative tax rates. I had done a look at what the surrounding towns have for tax rates
That's fine.
and their population and miles of class 2 and 3 roads, the roads that they maintain. And when I put it together, Tegan actually reminded me that the rate is dependent on your grand list, on your appraisal. And that was really borne out when we looked at Worcester. Worcester had this last year had a 60-cent tax rate. The year prior, they had a 96 cent tax rate. So they cut their tax rate by 50% because they were reappraised. Okay, that's went way up. So it's not an apples and apples. I took that slide out.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So the other articles that we'll be looking at town meeting will be the cemetery budget and their fence and infrastructure reserve fund, library and social service appropriations. These are typical articles that we'll be talking about at town meeting. A new one is the real estate acquisition reserve fund. Select board judged that we should probably set up a reserve fund, and build it over time so that we're positioned to take advantage of real estate acquisitions opportunities when they come along. And there's a proposal to seed it with $500. And then there's, the typical list of property tax and delinquent tax collection with one change I'll talk about in just a moment, and then fire and ambulance, very familiar articles for town meeting. The one item that's different in tax collection is Article 12, specifically bullet number 2 that talks about the postal service. It's been the practice of the town to recognize postmarks as being on time. So if the due date for a tax payment is, say, September 15th, we would honor postmarks of September 15th or before, no matter when the piece of postage arrived. We've now determined that we think it's in the town's best interest to not recognize postmarks for a couple of reasons. One is the postal times are very inconsistent these days. We're having to wait 10 days or more after the due date until we can close the tax collection, because it takes that long for postage to arrive. We also ran into at least a couple of cases this year where a resident dropped off their payment or their payment at the post office on the due date, but it wasn't postmarked on that date because the post offices have this practice of sending postage elsewhere to be postmarked and processed. And that was a difficult thing. And the other thing I would add to that is that it's really uncertain times for the USPS. There are a number of routes that have been discontinued. Middlesex recently, their town office is no longer having delivery of mail. U32 is no longer receiving mail. They have to go elsewhere to get it. So we're just finding that it's less reliable. And so we think it's in the town's best interest to say, if you're going to use postal service or otherwise, you need to mail it in time so that it arrives to the town office by the due date.
And this is true for other towns as well, like we've seen that.
Yeah, that's right. Barry
Made
is the
this
one I read
decision.
about recently, Barry
Yeah.
City. Is proposing this, and a number of towns have already made this change, not recognizing postmarks. So that is the presentation, so happy to try to answer any questions or take feedback.
Can I just, if you wanna go back to the first slide?
Yeah.
Uh,
The fund balance or the budget?
I think the budget. So what I was just wondering if you wanna make a comment in this context of the process that we go through? Or are you
Yeah.
planning to, I mean, I think you did that last year.
Talk about the process piece.
Yeah,
sure.
and just that we started at, well over 11%, I believe. Is
Oh,
the
sure.
recollection.
Yeah.
And so we were committed to, you're talking about where the. You tend to be talking a little bit more about where all the increases are, but actually this represents work that we did to. Decisions that were made to reduce some expenses and make sure we were
Yeah,
down at a more reasonable amount. right?
absolutely.
So last year's percent increase was X, this year's is Y, we started at Z and we got it to Y, sorry.
Yep, yeah.
And I think verbally is sufficient.
Okay.
But I don't,
Good.
if you have other opinion. And then the other point I wanted to make, Kara, was the slide that mentions the cemetery. Or no, here, sorry, this one first, let's go back one. So assistant town clerk, I'm glad to hear you, as a result of moving it from full FTE to half. It just felt a little like surprising to see assistant town clerk with this negative number.
Yeah.
So I wondered if you maybe even want to add that context to the reduction, just to reinforce it. When we see it up on the screen, it's quite stark. I
Okay,
guess, is what I would say.
what context are you referring to?
Just providing that the, maybe in paren, that, reduction of
Eliminated
one
position.
FTE to half FTE.
Oh, on that,
On the slide or something, just so that, yeah, I guess that's, and then I heard Bill say the total increase at the bottom
Total
of that
increase, yeah.
slide
Got it.
to show for both sides of the budget.
No, we're talking about.
Right.
And then just the last thing is on the cemetery. Just an asterisk there about the fact that that gets funded.
Oh, that there's an
That
investment
there's a
fund,
reserve fund.
and there's an investment fund, and part of their operations is coming from that reserve fund. from
Yeah,
Investment gains. Yeah.
so I don't know if
Okay.
that, I mean. It's the, the rest is, the rest is primarily paid for with tax dollars.
Yeah, I will mention that, and Michael Fullerton, I'm sure will discuss that when we get to that article.
Yeah,
But it's worth pointing out, that's a real success story, that fund
Yeah.
has really grown.
Yeah.
And, I can talk about the numbers a little bit too,
Okay.
what proportion of the budget's coming from, I think it's about a fifth. Yeah, about a fifth
Comes
is
from
coming
the
from
fund.
the investment fund.
okay, great, those are my comments.
Great. Any
Thank
others?
you, and I love the background, because it was between two ferns before, and I.
Right.
This is great.
You can tell what it is now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I ask a couple of questions?
Please.
Yeah.
I can wait till town meeting.
Please.
No, please do.
Well, one of them was the $11,000 hazard mitigation plan, which you said about.
Yeah,
There was probably a group that went over all the social service.
there was a committee that vetted those
So maybe they
recommendations.
can answer this question, but I'm wondering what they thought about the Central Vermont Economic Development Corporation. It had the embezzlement.
Yes, we did talk about that, I'm on that committee.
Oh,
And we did talk about that in the select board context, because the committee did its work prior to that coming to light.
oh.
And there was a question about whether, the organization was actually gonna survive beyond this
Right.
terrible situation. And the information we have is that, in fact, it's getting, support, from the state to, because there's those, there's multiple of
So
them.
the state helps, the state funds it.
In part, but also there, there's one for each area of the state, and, they have every interest in it continuing, yeah, so. And so we didn't feel, pulling back would be appropriate.
The real estate acquisition fund, can you say a little bit more about that? What kind of real estate?
I mean,
We're talking affordable housing.
it's not really defined, it's-
Right. It's just come up many times, whether it's, ideas about affordable housing, ideas about, the practicality of our town garage location, right? Would we want to have another location for material storage, for,
Okay.
so just, we thought it would be wise to have
Beginning.
a beginning, so that if an opportunity that was really exciting came up, we'd have a path to it.
And we did have debate about how much to put in to
Mhm.
start, and decided on quite a nominal amount to start, because of the effort to keep costs low. And
In Article 6, $1,000 for the cemetery, is that a number that you guys?
Yes. Yes, as you know, they're independent, they make their own
Yes.
proposals. That was the same number as last year, I think they have a target, I believe, maybe 5,000 something,
Yeah.
they just wanna build it up over time.
I think those are my only questions.
But there are a couple people
People on Zoom,
um,
anybody else with town meeting questions? Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think it's great, Harry. I
Good.
think it really helps set a tone for information sharing and.
You know, you're gonna let people interrupt, or you're gonna try to get through it, and then questions.
What do you think?
I think you should go.
Yeah.
If you
Best
get
to get
sidetracked
through
during
it,
town meeting, if you wanna
exactly.
go.
I
Yeah,
think best to go
And then
through it,
let Gus manage the.
yeah,
Exactly.
so you might wanna state that at the beginning.
at the beginning,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Good
Yeah.
feedback. Thank you.
yeah. Paul. Anything else we have to talk about town meeting?
I don't
No, thank
think
you.
so. I think we're all set.
I appreciate you coming, Donna,
Yeah.
and having
yeah.
some feedback.
Just to be here once in a while.
Not doing other duties.
Town hall is, John and I would be willing to make a start on the management plan for this building when he's off planning commission.
Oh, okay,
That's a bribe to get him off
okay,
planning
okay,
commission.
excellent.
Yeah, June, right, rather than right after town meeting, the way it used to be, the appointments.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Noted.
No, dude.
That's John first, I'm speaking for both.
Yeah,
it's Yeah.
Donna's idea, or is this
Right,
John's
right,
Yeah,
idea?
speak of one rules.
I'm gonna ask him later.
All right,
Good.
we're in
Well, we're
business.
in business.
Well, Pete's not here, but the booklet looks terrific.
It does.
Oh, good.
It's really
Great.
flourish.
Mix, it's
Yeah.
really,
I
Not
don't
sure.
know. You don't know.
Peter, would you mind stating your name for the last name for the
Well,
minutes?
Peter Burke, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Mhm. Doesn't seem- Then it stepped away. But Catherine is here, so we could move into the community nurse discussion. I just wanted to quickly beforehand, I meant to do this at the beginning, but welcome Meadow here. And say, if you missed stuff or want us to repeat things or, didn't catch who seconded something or whatnot, feel free to
Always interrupt.
and we're happy to back up and rephrase and whatever as you're working through it. So, yeah.
And are we recording?
Lisa?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, let's transition into the community nurse conversation. Catherine, do you wanna start us off with your current thinking?
Well, sure. There is not a lot of change since the last visit. We wanted to garner some town feedback. And so as was suggested at the last select board meeting that we were at, we have created a poll. It's a really short poll. It's, I think, 3 questions. Would you be interested in a community nurse program? Do you know anyone in Calais that might be interested or might be able to use it? And are you willing to, are you interested enough, or are you, I haven't gotten this one worded correctly yet, that you would like to, or you'd be willing to financially support, help financially support? So, that's the poll. I was just going to give, let them know that there was the poll at the table, and that, there's some medications, things like that were sent to the town hall that are free. They're all for adults. Things like Robitussin, flu and cold, severe cold and cough, and some fiber, citracell, and, another fiber, I forget what it is. And then lotion, sanitizing lotion. So that might draw people more to it. And then just give a brief explanation, sometime during the time. I'm not sure how that's done. I don't know who recommended that, whether it was Jordan or not, that recommended that we do that, just to give them people an idea of what we're thinking and if there is a town interest.
I think that's a good idea. I have tabled for various things at town meeting, and it's typically, get a flurry of activity in the first 20 minutes as people are arriving, and then go participate, and then back at the table, for lunch or after the meeting when people are stirring.
Okay, do you ever stand up and say, "Hey, this is what I've got over here," or, like I would stand up and say, "I'm Catherine Saunders. I'm doing some research on the community nurse program as requested by the select board at the time of my appointment." I mean, would you do something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think the time to do that would be, there's sort of another, any other business, right, at the end, Article
Yes.
19 or, would be a great time to do that.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. So, unless you have something else that you would like me to parlay to the community, um, you know, let me know, because that's what I have. What I basically did was took Kristen's slideshow and just condensed it. And I also condensed it so that I could print out some if people wanted to take some home just to read it.
Great, so that was gonna be my question, Catherine, was just, is there an explanation available of what you mean by community nurse?
Right,
Yeah,
and that's why I wanted to say something too, because I think that sometimes it's easier for people to just sit for, I mean, literally 2 minutes and hear what the definition is, or
yeah,
what services can be provided.
right. Very good.
Great.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Thanks for coming forward.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
good night.
You too.
You too.
Sorry, I'm not staying. I've got bread in the oven.
We forgive you.
Okay. Good night.
We're not expecting any guests on the local hazard mitigation.
Well, actually,
are we?
Keith Cutman is
Except for
here.
Keith? Yeah,
From the regional planning
Yeah.
commission.
great. So let's move right into that.
Yeah, so Keith has provided a contract, and maybe you should speak to it.
Yeah, if you wanna ask any questions, I apologize for the other day, I was actually in Plainfield, the meeting was trying to get signal outside of their, on the upstairs in the Opera House. You could- no
Not so
signal.
much.
Yeah, walking around outside the building even.
Oh, geez.
That happens.
Yeah, if you have any questions, as Cory said, the normal FEMA funding that we usually use for this, the, building resilient infrastructures and communities funding. Here ain't really saying anything about it, it's been
Yeah.
paused, the state has applied for hazard mitigation grant funding from the, 2023 disaster, but that hasn't progressed either. Basically anything through FEMA right now is kind of locked in DC. It does actually, just recently, Christina has changed her tune a little bit on wanting to continue with FEMA instead of just dissolving it. So, usually once people are there for a while and see the level of disasters nationwide, they do kind of realize this is an important piece. So hopefully that'll change, but we don't see anything coming very quickly. This directly impacts the town's ERAF funding though. If we were to have another large scale disaster that was federally recognized, this kicks in that piece from the state and would maximize your funding from the state. So you'd be able to get that 17.5% reimbursement from the state. And I believe, as I said, I can't remember correctly, if you guys have a report or bylaws, it's 12 and a half. But it definitely gets you that higher tier. It definitely pays off significantly in a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have any questions about timeline, I expect we'd be able to complete it by November, December of this year.
Mhm.
Because of that pausing funding, this would be the only one we're currently actually working on besides our standard work. So, yeah, I don't see any problems with getting that done. You have a pretty active hazard mitigation committee, so you already have somebody basically set up that we can easily work with and integrate with along with the town staff.
Mhm.
So that makes our job significantly easier when you already have those pieces, instead of having to stand up every committee at a time.
And it sounded like you were comfortable with the payment structure in terms of when it falls in the fiscal
Right,
year.
because it's not budgeted for this fiscal
Right.
year, but most of the payments coming in fiscal 27, so.
Yeah, realistically, with the lag we have, by the time we get to reporting back from our own fiscal accountants and do any progress reporting, realistically, it's probably gonna be July before we're ever doing fairly, so it won't be a problem with that.
Are you aware of any private philanthropy that would be interested in, I mean, have you heard of anything where there's some,
I haven't, I mean, I'm not saying there isn't any out there, I just haven't personally heard of any that supports this kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah, it'd be really nice if there was.
yeah,
Yeah,
just wonder if a banker, anyway, that's my thoughts on that.
right.
Yeah.
Sponsoring that would be helpful.
Very would.
Yeah, and so the makeup of our committee is evolving, or emergency management? team?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's another item. James Daly is going to be stepping down as the director.
So I'm just wondering if that gives you pause Keith, on any of the, like, the collaboration that will be required and.
No, that is, I've worked with, other members of your committee already, Nick and Rick, and,
Okay,
there's a solid committee there, I don't think you'd have any problem working through the process.
okay.
Yeah, and James said he'd stay on the committee, I believe, just.
Oh,
not
that's
be
correct,
active.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, yes, good point.
So,
All right.
Be a good continuity.
yeah, it's a strong committee.
Yeah, you guys actually, I think because of not having, realistically, not having a fire station in your community's really stood up.
Mm,
Realizing that you do have to be a little more reliant, and I've always been very impressed since I've been a CDR visit. Actually, I was the one that submitted Nick, and the overall committee for the EMD of the year a couple years ago. And because seeing all the communications work you all have done, I was very impressed.
nice.
It's great. Any other questions for? Barry?
James, we started
James.
really.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm running late anyway.
That's okay, that's okay.
All good,
So there's room for one signature on here, so your motion should probably identify.
Right,
A
so-
particular person to sign this.
Does somebody want to make a motion to approve and authorize? I guess myself or you,
Either way.
it doesn't matter, authorize me to sign this agreement,
So moved.
Second,
all in favor?
aye.
Okay,
Great. Thank you.
thank you.
We'll look forward to hearing from you. How it goes. How it's going. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. That brings us to public comment.
Well, some people- You're gonna go sit in the audience?
Anything to say, but
Okay,
Did you think of anything else on it? you wanna talk about? No.
floor is yours. Okay, seeing no public comment, we can move into appointments.
Yes, so,
Exciting.
we're excited to, recommend that, we, appoint Meadow to be the Assistant Zoning Administrator. We've had one on the books for quite a while. It's Jan Olson, supporting John as the zoning administrator. Jan has a lot of experience, but she's not been very active. There's, honestly, not a lot of development activity in Calais at the moment.
Right.
However, we still need those systems and we need people in place to execute those systems. And John and I have discussed, the bringing someone in that's younger and that it could be the future of our zoning program would really be beneficial to us. So, Meadow fits the bill, is excited about it, I believe. We don't have, we have I misspoke in my memo. We have $1,000 stipend set as, proposed for fiscal 27. We don't have anything in the current year budget. So what I would suggest is that we pay Meadow their regular wage during the training period. And I think that we will benefit greatly from that. We've asked Meadow to document the procedures and the practices so that we have something and start a handbook when we get to the end of this process. So I think, so we'll have a couple of different benefits coming out of this process. It makes a lot of sense. And both John and Jan were supportive of it. Jan offered her resignation when we exchanged emails. So.
Great. That's exciting.
Thank you,
Meadow.
Have you looked at the
Be
zoning right now?
careful about.
Sorry, is the idea that Meadow would, take over when John retires?
If everything works out, I think that would be great.
No, John McCullough's wife, I'm John McCullough.
The muscle, Don is the muscle.
One other benefit I wanted to mention is that having one of the zoning professionals as a town office staff member, I think will be very beneficial because we get a lot of customer service type of questions. and
Imagine.
We often have to say, well, here's John's email, here's John's phone number, or you might catch him on Monday morning or something. And, it's not ideal from a customer service perspective. So having someone in-house that can immediately respond, I think will be a big benefit. Because a lot of times people just want to ask a question,
Right,
Right. That's great.
that's great. Thanks, Meadow. So I guess I would entertain probably do a joint motion.
Sure.
To accept Jan Olson's resignation as Assistant Zoning Administrator and to appoint Meadow in that position.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Alright.
Meadow, can you remind us how to say your last name?
McKenna,
McKenna. Thank you.
yes.
Wonderful.
All right.
Stillbrook Road Bridge.
Okay, so if you're not familiar with Stillbrook Road, it's a
Look it up.
short little road off of Route 14. At least the class 3 part, the class 4 extends up to Luce, is it? Yeah, I believe it's Luce. And there's only a couple homes on it, but there is this bridge, the short span bridge that goes over Kingsbury Branch. And the bridge has been problematic for quite some time. I remember learning about it right off the bat, like the first week or two. We had an analysis done by DeWolf Engineering, and the good news is they said the bridge itself is fairly sound, but they do recommend underpinning to shore up the abutments. And that, that's where they left their analysis. And we said, well, okay, get us started on what that would cost to actually repair. So the next step would be to have them do the design of this underpinning, do a construction estimate, which we would then take to seek a structures grant from the state.
Oh, okay.
And if we receive the structures grant, presumably that would pay for 80% of the actual construction and the design. So what we would be committing to up front in accepting the Wolf's proposal would be $3,500 for the construction design and the estimating. If we didn't get the grant or we didn't want to move forward, we wouldn't need the construction services portion of that. And presumably we would not be pursuing this for fiscal 27 because we didn't budget a match, but we would be set up to include in fiscal 28 budget if we choose to. And I'll say, honestly, we could put this off But at some point, we're gonna need to deal with it. It's town property, it's at risk. It's problematic in the sense that from time to time, these sinkholes will appear at the edge of the bridge in the road, and it happened at all four corners. And our, road crew, it's beyond their capacity to really address. They'll fill in the holes, but then they reappear.
Yeah, it's visible and,
Does water getting around the other side of the abutment and washing stuff out?
Yeah,
That's not good.
not good.
Oh,
Yes.
So sooner or later, we will need to address it. To my thinking, probably should get the ball rolling and.
And if we do this work now and it's a couple of years before we actually do the repair, this work's still valid and
Right.
good and.
Right, the design will be good for
Yeah.
a while, and, if we get the grant this cycle, we would have until December of 27. So we could include it in the 28 budget. Or we could, if we didn't get the grant, we would still have the design and we can apply in the future.
For next year.
and the expense for doing this work, though, the preliminary work. The prep work expense is,
$3,500 for the.
and where would it
construction,
come,
For the design.
and where are we charging that to?
Ultimately, it would come out of the general fund
The
balance.
general fund? Okay.
Out of curiosity, so on the emergency management committee, we're getting ready to update the local emergency management plan. So we were looking at all of the, dam emergency plans around town. We were told that the Mill Pond Dam is being removed this summer, not next summer, so obviously that's gonna change the whole flow of Kingsbury headed toward Montpelier.
Yeah.
Obviously, Stillbrook is quite a ways downstream, but is there any chance of possibly piggybacking with whatever they're gonna have to do to change the river, or is that way too far downstream?
I can ask, I suspect not, because it would be different, purposes. The purpose of the removal of the dam, where they think the money is gonna come from is, habitat restoration, allowing aquatic organisms to move up and downstream. That's almost surely where that money will come from, because there's quite a bit available at this time. The shoring up the bridge is just a hazard communication, just a safety issue.
Yep.
I did attend a meeting last week of Friends of Winooski, the SLR engineering, and then all or most of the players in the state and federal governments that will be responsible for permitting that project. And they're now thinking that they're now planning for that project to happen in 27.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay.
They hope to have the permits this year and hopefully the funding by the end of the calendar year. But the construction would happen following year. But I'll certainly ask. And, that brings up the point of the real pressing bridge issue that we have is the Moscow Woods Bridge.
Right.
We had applied for a joint grant for the dam removal and the bridge replacement. And didn't receive that, but that bridge is a $2.1 million project. In last year's dollars, and so we need a plan to replace that. We're most likely gonna need to borrow, so it's gonna be a little while until we can pull that off. So I wanted to mention that, I believe Calais only has 4 bridges.
Wow.
So Stillbrook and Moscow Woods are sort of the ends of the spectrum on those bridges.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And Pekin and North Calais, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, okay.
Max Gray,
Max Gray, yes,
so 5.
5, yeah.
And
No, it surprises me, we don't have all the water around.
Do we
So
need
anyway.
need a motion to, have you sign?
yeah,
this?
what's the sense? We should go ahead with it. I'm not sensing hesitation.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's the kind of, we have to do the preparatory work anyway in order to
Right.
get there, so.
Yeah, and if we get a grant, and implement it, we will hopefully get 80% of it reimbursed.
Right.
We'll set up a separate fund for this project.
So I would entertain a motion to authorize engineering, design and construction services by DeWolf Engineering for the Stillbrook Road Bridge stabilization.
Have Jamie sign it. Correct?
Maybe would you repeat that for me, please?
It's also on the agenda.
Yeah.
Authorize engineering, design and construction services by DeWolf Engineering for the Stillbrook Road Bridge stabilization. And is that just an
One signature,
authorize
yeah, so we need,
myself to sign it, I
yeah,
guess?
please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Great. Thank you all. National Opioid Settlement Fund.
We have some interesting ones tonight, huh?
Yeah, there are.
So, Callis's portion of the National Opioid Settlement Funds was $1,159.93. We are to use it on opioid abatement and remediation activities. I did some research. And I think the obvious choice is to direct that money towards Turning Point Center of Central Vermont, which is based in Barrie. And they provide opioid recovery services. To all of Washington County. I had a really nice discussion with their executive director. They're in the process of renovating a space that was destroyed in the flood of 23. And what they hope to be in this year. It'll be a much larger space that'll allow them to do all of their normal recovery services. They do a lot of peer work and coaching. But they also like to bring in community partners like the hospital and Capstone. And this new space will provide us more space for that kind of thing to happen. And there have been other municipalities that have supported Turning Point Center, including Berry City, by $40,000 in national opioid settlement funds to Turning Point Center.
So is this an annual allocation?
No,
Is
one time.
this just a one time?
Yeah. It's population per capita based.
Great, yeah, understood. The only, I think Turning Point's awesome. I would just mention that there's a coalition of organizations called the Central Vermont Prevention Coalition.
Yeah.
That is sort of a convening and umbrella organization to any other organization that's involved in substance use treatment and prevention.
Yeah.
But I think this is since it's only one time, I think that's absolutely appropriate.
Okay.
I was gonna say it might make sense to do it differently if it were. an ongoing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know they've been doing, they've got SAMHSA money for education. They're doing some great work in high schools and working with the Department of Public Health and so forth. But I think your proposal is spot on.
Great. I would accept a motion to approve the recommendation to transfer the funds we received from the National Opioid Settlement Funds of $1,151.93 to Turning Point Center of Central Vermont.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great,
Thanks for doing the advanced work on that.
yes,
Yeah, that was
Appreciate that
interesting.
part.
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Moving right along.
Cruising right along.
Early on tonight.
Gotta hear my supper time.
You guys should consider to shrink from a 5-person board to a 3-person.
I know, right?
George
Go
going,
back.
Great. So administrative items. We are sad to accept the resignation. You wanna
No,
say anything
I
additional?
had said it in the past that I had originally planned to run for another year term. But with everything I've added to my day job and everything I've been doing for the town, I've decided to go and pursue a degree in, sorry, brain is blanking, a degree in emergency management.
Oh, wow.
The short version of it, it's usually a homeland security and emergency management.
Hmm.
I don't think that, provided that works out, I wouldn't be able to properly allocate time to the whole thing. And, but I still wanna do what I can to help out, so I still plan to work with the committee, whether that's, if there's still a vacancy available, we'll happily, put in for that seat. Or just work with the committee on a volunteer basis, whatever, works out for the best. And just kind of go from there. But, I appreciate the opportunity to be Calais' emergency management director, even for just a year. I've learned a lot. Realized that I still have a lot to learn in the emergency management world. It's very different from, I come from fire and EMS in the private sector, and then being on the municipal side of things work very differently. So there's a lot of things that were bumpy for me to figure out. I'm still learning. But it was great, and I hope to continue to work with the town for as long as I'm here.
Yeah, we have so too.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So I'm not going anywhere yet.
All right.
Good.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you. I mean, I've
Yeah.
been, only on the board now for a year, but really appreciated just your approach and your thoroughness and commitment to the work. So really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm still planning on helping out and, always be available for questions or help, whether it's emergency management related or personal request or whatever.
Appreciate it.
Great, thank you. Do we need a motion to accept a resignation?
Yes, please.
Or take and accept a resignation, a motion to accept the resignation of James Daly as Emergency Management Director,
Effective June 30th.
effective June 30th. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. With appreciation.
With appreciation, for sure. Did folks get a chance to look over the February 9th select board meeting minutes in the folder?
Briefly.
I did not have anything jump out at me as changes.
I did not. I'm just having a quick look.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I would accept a motion to approve the minutes of the February 9th select board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And similarly, the board orders, which were in the meeting folder as well. Did folks have a chance to look those over or have any questions for Kari on them?
No questions this time.
Nope, I'm good.
And I would accept a motion to approve and sign the board orders.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then Vanguard has asked us to renew our authorization for Kari to continue to be a signer on the Vanguard investment account. Is that
Is that more?
Swim fund,
the swim fund? That's right.
$5,000 in there. Yeah, just part of their processes to see minutes every couple of years, I guess.
So I would accept a motion to authorize Kari Bradley as a signer for the Vanguard investment account.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. you. And then we have a clean copy of the town hall management agreement. And many thanks to Barbara
Yes.
and.
Did you already include it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's here.
Okay.
Mhm.
Many thanks to Barbara and Carol Beatty and others for their work. It's will continue to be a work in progress, but I think is in really good shape and we're glad to see that process moving forward.
Yes.
Jamie, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
appreciate all the mentions of cleaning in here. So I'm just a little confused about events for Calais residents. So page 6, public events, Calais residents, $25 per hour. But versus an organization like the Calais Historical Society, like if we wanted to use this fall foliage festival for a day or something, is that? I think on page 7, it's Calais residents using the downstairs, $50 a day. But then there's the quasi municipal groups.
Right. Right.
Who would make that decision about a quasi municipal group? Because I know there was some resistance at first when Calais Historical Society wanted to have meetings here.
Okay,
Not an issue now.
okay.
It's a good question.
The fee structure is going to be looked at and,
In more detail?
rehauled.
Okay.
Yes, because, and simplified, because it's very hard to follow. If you are just a Calais resident and wanna have an event here, it's hard to follow. It's hard to follow no matter actually which organization, what organization. So, I think there's, I guess that what I would say is that as the liaison, I can take your point to the board and say, this is one of the points of contention. And the commitment is that by the time we have the next agreement, we would have this sorted.
Yeah.
And there'll be probably additional times, that the kind of Calais Town Hall are here to update on changes or proposed changes. And we did actually ask them at the last meeting to check in more regularly. So I believe it's every other month, Kari, because I know they're sort of on the agenda already for the 23rd of March.
Yeah.
Was my. So that we have more of a cadence.
Right.
And that's intended to try to continue to move on some of these
Yeah.
bigger issues.
Well, this is a big improvement, so thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say that we did not dig into the appendices, on purpose, because
Yeah.
there's quite a lot to do there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found no mention of alcohol use either, which, not that I'm against it, it's just that normally that involves,
Interesting.
depending on what. We're gonna
Yeah,
have
there has
a
to
big
be.
party here, other organizations have,
Yep,
rules about that.
yep,
I
Right,
think at one point Artie or Nancy was gonna get licensed or whatever it is in order to serve,
right.
but otherwise.
Typically,
I think
like-
it says that if, like, say there's a wedding or something, they would have to provide someone who's licensed.
right,
Right, the community center just requires somebody licensed or an insurance writer, which people can often get a one-time
Right,
event
right,
policy.
yeah.
It's often done on your homeowner's policy.
Mhm.
And it's $100 or something to cover the event, but you're right, that should be in here.
And there's no mention of a number of people either. I mean, that's it makes things to talk
Really?
about in the
Right.
future,
Okay, thank you. And then there are additional documents, so the
Right.
rental agreement is
Oh.
not in here.
Okay.
And there is
Probably in.
noted inconsistencies between these various documents, so that's part of the
This is a start, I understand, I'll shut up.
process. No, I appreciate you bringing it forward. There's so many issues to look at,
Mm.
so, but some of those top level ones, yeah. Anyway, really appreciate, bring them on, is what I would say, because we need to keep, understanding where there's questions.
I think regular meetings is a really good idea.
Yeah,
With the friend.
the board, so the board is meeting regularly now, once a month, and there'll be regular report outs here. But that's the,
Great progress.
Yeah.
We approved this last meeting?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we don't need
we
to
don't
do
need a
anything,
motion,
just sign it.
I agree.
Okay,
what was it? Capacity, right?
and alcohol,
Yeah, I got that, okay. Thank you.
great. Report.
Tegan's not here.
Not here.
I know that she's, getting ready for town meeting, and they had a mock town meeting at the elementary school on
Yeah.
Friday. Gus Seelig moderated, so
Oh, wow.
it sounds like that was a success.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
I love it.
So I'll just go with
Do you wanna
the
just-
financial
yeah.
report. So the financial report's in the meeting packet, so relatively minor changes from last month. We're, in terms of revenue, we're in good shape. 91% for general government, 129% for, highway department. General government expenditures are right on budget at 70% of budget. Highway expenditures, we're of course running high, we're at 188% of budget. And road materials and 2 vehicles that, maintenance, so it's been really trying things. So we're definitely in belt tightening mode, which is why not much changed this past month. We have approximately 337,000 left to get through the year with the highway budget, so it's gonna be tight. But we're working on it. We'll see how bad mud season is, that's the main thing, how much gravel we need to purchase.
Yeah, I mean, we got a ways to go, but
Yeah,
what can you do?
Yeah.
and moving on to.
Moving on to
Town administrator.
administrator.
So, main thing I wanted to bring up, well, other than Ed Rowell is out of the hospital home and recovering, he seems to be doing better.
Hmm.
So Jordan and Jamie and I had a discussion, it was the Friday before the vote no, it was after the vote on elementary school, that's right.
That's right, it was the day after.
But we had planned the meeting before the vote.
Yeah.
And, just start to think about what process would the town use to consider utilization of the elementary school facility if it were to become available. If it's when. And, there, we could have a long conversation about that, but what really came to light is the fundamental issue of how do we, is it possible, how can this town support more housing development? One, to grow the grand list and spread the expenses out to help try to address the financial challenge that we have, but also to provide more opportunity for people to live here, including families with school age children.
Amen.
So, along those lines, we thought it would make sense to invite in some guests to have some conversations to learn more about this topic. And so we developed a short list of people we thought made sense, including, there's a local group, well, David Healy and Linda Gray have started working on what can be done specifically in the village, in the village districts. So we thought we would bring them in for a conversation. Also, of course, Vermont Housing Conservation Board down street might be an option. Our planning commission, since they have incorporated some of this into their plan, know the zoning regs really well. So those were the folks on our list that we wanted to run by you. Do you think that's a good idea for the select board? Spend some time on the next couple of months, and do you have any ideas of who else we should speak with.
I guess I had a question about whether the CVRPC mapping project is gonna help inform this conversation. Am I wrong? Am I remembering this correctly? That there's like land, that there's going to be a report that talks about where development could happen in the town. Whether or not it's currently available is not the point, but just where are there
Yeah.
areas that are.
Yeah, you're right, and, I mean, I know a lot of that conversation is about where,
Chip.
permitting is, expedited, you know.
Right, because of the chip thing, but we don't really have, it's not really that relevant for Calais, correct?
Because that's mostly about infrastructure.
But they would have that
Yeah.
information available. I just saw that as a piece of the
As
puzzle.
another-
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the planning commission has that information. I mean, John pulls it up on his computer all the time at home, you know, wetlands and all that, so.
Right.
So if planning commission's invited to this meeting, it would be there.
in mentioning John's name, I think we should also investigate possible zoning changes if they're required,
Absolutely.
you know? And
I-
there's people on the planning commission who know what those are. And what would make things easier.
Yeah, at least in my mind, I imagine, having a series of guests over the course of a month or 6 weeks, getting as much sort of information as a group as we can, dialogue around steps forward. But I can imagine it, turning into some type of a committee, whether it's
I
a
should hope so.
subcommittee of planning or, like, the idea is to pull in all the people who are interested and sort of out of that, develop a group who can then move the ball forward.
Yeah, and reminding ourselves of what the town plan says about
Yeah.
this would
Right.
be also
Right,
wise.
because I
19
think it's
units a
ambi-
year.
Yeah.
which is ambitious. Yeah,
Which has never happened.
right,
Maybe it did, when it was settled.
Probably 1830, yeah.
Exactly.
long time.
So, yeah,
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we went ahead and invited David and Linda and Jan Olson. Forget where that came from, but, Jan has a lot to say specifically about the zoning regulations, so that could be an interesting discussion for March 9th.
And if I can just interject, John and I are meeting with Jan this week about this.
Oh, okay,
Oh, good.
well, you should come as well,
Side thing.
Yeah.
March 9th.
I think it'll be interesting to that point of who else might come to, just seeing this on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah,
People might come forward that have interests or questions or whatever, and starting to really hear from our fellow townspeople of what they're interested in is helpful. And I think it will, put a sharper point on it than even the planning commission, invitations to talk and do some of those brainstorming exercises that they did. Once the select board's actually talking about it, will,
Yeah.
I think, bring additional people forward. Yeah, I think it's good.
yeah, that's the hope.
I know.
I-
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Other renters who would love to buy a home.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I live, on Marshfield Road, right in East House Village, there would be a rental property right there. Well, yeah, on the first floor of his, one of his houses there.
And I would just offer that, the elementary school, the use of the elementary school. Or potential use of the building or potential for what, I feel like that's another valid. Area of conversation
Mhm.
that isn't tied necessarily to housing, could be.
Right.
But isn't necessarily. And there's, I think, folks in town also who are, who no matter what the vote was gonna be, but just we're like, imagining what else could happen in that building. And that
Right.
we wanna, I don't know if we wanna make space for that.
I think we do. I think, this initial conversation came out of the conversation of we need to figure out what we would do with the school if it was offered to the town. Even though the vote was what it was now, I think there's a very real possibility that that could happen in the next 3 to 5 years. And so whether it's this same committee or a separate group, I think that conversation needs to be happening now.
It's also town's primary shelter, emergency shelter, so if it were, that was a big question we had on the emergency
Right.
committee, is if, okay, well, if the school
Right.
closes, what is the town gonna do, because what's the feasibility of the town in building X, Y, Z, and then that's going to affect the town emergency plans, and
Absolutely,
there's a lot that goes into it.
It's an important asset to the community.
yeah,
Sure, we hold town meeting,
right,
can't hold it.
Right.
yeah,
Well, you have outgrown the town office, I
Mm.
right.
Probably, goodbye.
Not quite ready for that big of it.
No,
Anything else before we? adjourn?
So I just want to mention there will be you had requested financial training opportunities. And there will be a financial training for select boards on April 11th. I'll let you know when the registration opens up for that. I just wanted to forewarn you, I booked my summer travel plans, July 1st
Saw
to
that.
14th,
Well done.
and you should do the same. A wise person once told me you should make your vacation plan when you get back from your vacation. You should make your next one. And then, does anybody have a suggestion for Barbara's retirement gift? Think about that. You don't have to answer that right now, but think about that. Because we would like to
Do something.
get something together for the March 15th.
What comes to mind for me as an artist in Calais,
Mhm.
Something original.
Something specific, or you're saying it generally?
I don't have any
Okay.
thing in specifics, but I'm just saying like something that is very specific,
Right,
like that is made by somebody from here.
Yeah,
would be
That's what Tegan
appropriate.
and I were thinking
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
What's something?
yeah,
Anyway, give it some thought. If you have any brainstorms, let us know.
okay.
yeah. How soon? Wow, okay. I'm just curious about the Adamant Music School and if that person's coming back soon.
Yeah,
Is
so,
there a board meeting that one of us should attend? I'm just wondering.
I can
where
make
this
that
is
offer.
going?
I asked him, Martin, Michael, to, if he would be willing to join a select board meeting. He just hasn't responded. So,
Okay,
I think that's a nice offer. Maybe that's more convenient for them if one of us attends their meeting.
if that, I mean, it just seemed to me that's quite a potential.
I agree.
It's a great opportunity, I think, personally, but it's also like, sounds like things are quite serious for them.
Yeah.
And I think it would be helpful, and I would volunteer to do this since I'm raising it, but, it would be helpful to get a sense of the board's
Right,
thinking, where they're at. 'Cause
Yeah, I mean, he's school boards.
Yeah,
He was not, too pessimistic. He was just saying, we want to be prepared
right,
in
okay,
case they're not able to make it.
okay,
And they're looking at their bylaws right now anyway, so
Hmm,
I agree. I mean, I don't see a lot of downside to it.
right,
Of course, there is something that,
I'm
there's
sure.
always unintended consequences.
yeah,
But, there seems to be a lot of upside potentially,
Yeah.
so. I'd like to keep the conversation going if we can. So I'll make that offer.
okay.
yeah, I think that's a great idea. Any?
Better, did you have any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Your typing speed is incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, actually, I do have a question. I don't know your full name.
James
James
Daly,
Daily, D-A-L-Y?
Dailey.
Thank you.
The Calais spelling.
And
Right.
the road crew question that came up, Kari, regarding,
Oh, about, the
PTO?
sick leave donation.
yeah,
Yeah, so I'm gonna do some additional research. I'm gonna, I thought I'd reach out to the representative from the employees union, because I
Yeah.
can imagine they have some experience with it.
yes,
Yeah,
So, but if you read the summary, the League of Cities and Towns was recommending we do not adopt such a policy.
right,
Basically because, well, it was in the email that,
Yeah.
there are no secrets in a small town, and it would be very easy for someone to perceive that they were being discriminated against or treated inequitably.
right.
One person
Person
worth
gets
the,
it and
you know, large donation to another one.
doesn't.
In my experience, you know, much larger organization, especially with that kind of pool system, I don't know if you're familiar with that. Where you can avoid the tax consequence, at least on the donor side. It is more of a blind situation.
Right,
So, so the state has a sick pool.
Yeah,
And so we can donate sick time that we have to this pool. We can't donate it to a specific person.
yes,
Obviously, in the town grocer side, it's a much smaller thing than just state. But then we have to apply to use sick time that is in that pool and then
Yes.
it's awarded.
yes,
I don't know if there'd be some sort of
you need a process.
certified version that like could donate it, then the town has a pool of it theoretically. I'm sure it's also that people looked into already or are, but,
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, you can imagine that, you know, someone needs time off.
Mm.
Everyone knows that,
right,
and anyone donating to the pool knows what they're giving
Giving
to,
it.
you know, so it's just not, it's not different, it's so different.
right, yeah,
The State of Vermont, you know.
it's complicated.
I think, the union, the question to the union rep is a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah, so.
That's the
I'll
right
report
next
back.
step. Yeah.
Meanwhile, he has 8 weeks
Uh-huh.
accrued, so it's not so urgent.
Okay,
And
that was
permission
my
to come.
question. Excellent.
Okay. 7:15. We're early.
Anything else you wanna talk about? You're-
Me.
Are you good?
Should we call Jordan up?
Call Jordan up.
Hey, Jordan, now look,
They made it.
Right.
where were they going?
Puerto Rico.
Oh,
But I
Okay.
know somebody was flying out of Burlington, who didn't make it to Puerto Rico,
Hmm,
but I think all these.
Yeah, there's no good connections.
yeah.
better man lives in New Jersey. He said he's had 27 inches of snow already. And just,
From this storm?
yeah,
Wow.
lucky the power's still out.
Yeah, and it's still snowing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing, is they.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's still
That
coming.
is crazy, and we're only gonna get like one.
I know, it's not fair.
I
Oh.
was in Guilford today for work
Oh.
and just south of Sharon on 91, it was like, you just had a wall all of a sudden. You were in the middle of a snowstorm.
Wow.
Nothing
Wow.
in comparison to what they were getting down there.
Yeah.
But I was on the road for like another 45-ish minutes after I hit the snow, and there was already like over an inch of snow on the road.
Mhm.
And then when I was coming back from Guilford, it was the same thing. I just hit a wall and all of a sudden there was no snow.
Mm.
Wow.
But it was crazy in the southern part of the state all day today.
Yeah,
With that, meeting
Okay.
adjourned.
All right.
thank you. Thank you,
you.
Jamie.